I wanted to take a little bit of time to share with you guys what it is that we actually got for the 65, because we're about to take all this stuff up to the machine shop. Obviously, we have our new bearings here. Got our rings. I don't think we went with, let's see what they are. So no gapless rings this time. Here we've got the rest of our bearings. Now, I want to remind you guys that all this stuff can be bought through Anderson Ford Motorsport. Now, we had a little mix up on the pistons. So we got flat tops to start with, and we were supposed to get a slight dome piston. Now you can't really see it, but there is a slight dome to these, a little knot. So that means, then this should put us somewhere around 11.3, 11.5 to 1 compression with the heads that we've got. So if we want more, we can always get a different set of heads with less CC. We can really crank this thing up, but 11.5 to 1 is near perfect. All this obviously is forged, everything top to bottom. So finally we get to put to use the dark block that's been in the 65 this whole time. And what do I mean by that? Well, basically, we've had like a cast bottom end in a dark block for a long time, ever since I got the block. All right, this is our crankshaft. I'm not obviously gonna pull it out of the box. I'm sure it's really pretty though. So that's it. The 65 is gonna be back up and running, hopefully here pretty soon. So I may go ahead and let the machine shop build this thing, build the bottom end, since it's gonna be up there. So I'm gonna take it up there. I'm gonna put the little chest mount camera on, and we're gonna walk through, and I'm gonna show you what it's like to deal with the machine shop. I think today we're gonna take the 21. I know it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that when you're taking parts? But the car hadn't been out in a while, so I think we'll go ahead and take it. So I wanted to show you guys what all you have to take if you're going to get your engine balanced, your bottom end. So obviously we have the crankshaft, you got your rods, your pistons, you're gonna need rings, you're gonna need bearings, and flywheel and balancer. Now this one, remember, has the extra weights on it, so I went ahead and brought those just in case. And then this one still has the weight on it, so it needs to be taken off. But make sure you bring all your bolts for your flywheel and your harmonic balancer. You know, after I put these drag radials on the car, I noticed that this thing, if it sits for a little while, it just goes to bumping and shit. And I'm not sure, I haven't even looked, but I assume it maybe is because the front tires are bias ply. I'm not even sure that they're a radial. I have the Mickey Thompson front runners up front as well. And I had to put about 50 PSI air in the front tires just to keep it from bouncing so bad, because anything less than that and you couldn't even sit in the car. And I mean, if it just sits for a few hours, it'll do it. So all right, in the meantime, we'll go ahead, get this out and get it ready. That's pretty much it. Just pour this whole thing in. 46 bucks to fill up, and $20 essentially for this. So, you know, it's about, you call it about 70 bucks per fill up. But if you add up the price of the fuel system, which is well over $4,000, I think we're coming out to the good here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you a couple of the key points that we're gonna talk about in these videos. Next up, we're gonna be talking about building your engine and choosing your components. And I don't mean a stock bottom end, we're past that. Now we're gonna be talking about, you know, you getting a set of pistons, you picking a bigger cam, you know, now you've got choices. So we're gonna discuss that in the next video. And then from there, it's just really gonna kind of evolve into whatever it wants to be. Meaning, as we get to talking about certain things, new ideas pop in my head about what we need to talk about, and we may need to sidetrack and veer off a little bit, take a little detour, if you will, so that we can make sure that we're covering everything that we need to cover for you guys. So this series is gonna do a little bit of this and that, you know what I mean? So I'll show you guys my favorite thing to do in this car, which is actually not good, but just rolling about 60 and just hit it. Jesus. This car is just nasty. You have to hold on to it because, you know, most of the time it goes straight. It just hooks and goes. But if it doesn't, you better have your hands ready, and you better be able to feel the instant that it breaks traction so that you can let off and correct it. The problem with an automatic car is once it starts spinning, you don't have a clutch. In other words, even though you let off the throttle, the car will still continue to, I guess, just momentum, if you will, centrifugal force, whatever you want to call it. It's already in motion and wants to stay in motion type thing, right? So it takes a split second for the throttle to completely release. Plus, these cars are drive-by-wire, so like with a manual car, you can instantly push the clutch in and all power ceases. It doesn't work that way with an automatic. Anyway, I'll see you guys at the machine shop. What's up? How you? All right. There's all the bolts for the flywheel and the harmonic balancer. Guys been busy? Yeah. You ought to be getting used to it now, though. Where are we at? Well, what are we looking at total on this? Because I know I sent the block up here and you guys checked it out.
With his motor, what have we done?
Check the bore on it. We gotta hone it and check the head on it. So we got left.
Cam bearings, freeze plugs, anything like that?
We haven't yet. That's an aftermarket block, so I gotta look at the cam bearings to make sure that.
Okay, but are the cam bearings good, or are we going to put some in?
I think they're fine.
670.
Cool. All right.
Those
Well.
little puppies ain't gonna hurt nothing. I want you to listen to something.
Okay.
Tell me what you think of its sound.
Okay. Maybe it's just valve train, you know?
Do you know about the problems people are having with camshafts?
I've heard some.
That's when I started noticing it. Nobody knew anything. I called Airson. I called Comp. Matter of fact, I called Ed Escuderian, and we spoke a while about it. And nobody knew what was going on. Then all of a sudden, Comp came up and figured out that they'd taken the zinc out of oil because the catalytic converter. And they didn't express that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Comp is saying, Airson is saying, all these cam companies are saying, we will no longer guarantee the camshaft. Well, people were talking, when a camshaft is ground, it's ground at, the lobes are ground at an angle, which makes the lifter spin. Mm-hmm. If a cam was ground flat, the lifter would never spin, and they would wear. So they're ground at an angle, the lifter comes down on it, and it rides up on the crown, and it makes it spin. Well, the problem is the zinc is what is the lubricant for this stuff. But everybody started saying, oh, they're grinding the cams flat, they're grinding this, and they're grinding that. Then it was, they're using Chinese blanks, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. It all turned out to be zinc. I don't know if you're familiar with aircraft or anything, but you have to specifically use aircraft oil in an aircraft engine. And the aircraft engines, the biggest deal about them is camshafts wearing down. Well, it's because people will put automotive oil in an aircraft engine. Oil is oil. It doesn't have any zinc. You ask me what oil I run. I always start motors out 30 weight straight oil, and I put the zinc in. And the way I do it is I put a quart of oil in, I put the pint of zinc in, then I finish putting the rest of the oil in. spin the oil pump up. And what that does is it immediately picks up the oil, the 1 quart, picks it up, and then it hits that zinc. And now that zinc is going through there. If you just pour the zinc in, then what happens is it just lays on the bottom of the pan. Or if you put it in after you put all the oil in, it floats on the top.
Damn. Oh yeah, you got the old carburetor on. Got this thing together, don't you?
Yeah.
Have you run it yet?
Nope.
So I guess you get all this figured out, it looks like.
Yeah, I had to.
Oh, you had to make stuff.
A buttload of machining to make everything work.
Yeah. How close are you to busting it off?
Well, it's got oil in it. I got the headers on it.
Well, I'm excited. Well, let me know whenever you get ready to fire it up. If I'm off, I'd like to ride up here and listen to it. That is Southern Performance in Dothan, Alabama. And that is Mr. Ron. Now, Ron is extremely knowledgeable, obviously, as you could hear. But he's got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these engines and what works and what doesn't work. And, you know, all of this stuff everybody talks about these days, about you have to have this, you have to have that. He's the guy that knows better, right? He has had a machine shop for, I don't even know, I can't remember, 30 years probably. Multiple cars, hundreds of cars as a matter of fact. He's got so many damn cars you guys couldn't imagine. Matter of fact, I didn't show you, but he's got an 04 Mach 1 that he drove today as well. He's got a Lightning and all this stuff. He's really a Ford guy. I just wanted to highlight Mr. Ron because he's such a good dude, you know, and he's got so much knowledge. It's important that we listen to these guys that really know, right? I could sit there and, you know, like he was saying with this other guy saying, I'll build 1 million of these engines and I don't need you to tell me. No, just listen. He's obviously been building engines forever. So in my opinion, it's worth listening to, right? You know, him talking about the lack of zinc and oil and stuff now really makes sense because I have heard a lot of the guys with flat tappet setups claiming that the cams don't last and that they're made out of cheap material now. Hey, maybe that's some of it. But I do know with them taking zinc out of most of the oil now, that's definitely going to cause problems. So in the engine room, you saw a little 347 sitting there that was carbureted. If you pay attention, that was my old blow-through carburetor that we traded for some work, I think it was. So he's now got that on his 347 with a supercharger. So the other guy that you saw there is his grandson. So it's a family-owned business. I love going up there. I love the knowledge that he'll share. Now he's a little different. He don't have time for bullshit. So he's not going to sit there and listen to your bullshit or bullshit you. But if you'll pay attention to what he says, he's got so much knowledge. It reminds me of the guy on YouTube right now where he found OG. I don't know if you've watched it or not, but it was a guy on the streets of, I want to say it was maybe New York, and this old cat started giving him a hard time about, you know, using digital. You know, you need to be using film. And anyway, that whole little altercation turned into a friendship, and now that guy's learning film and how to develop it and this and that. Well, the guy, OG, has got so much knowledge, and now he's able to share it with everybody. And that's kind of like, you know, with Ron. With that being said, y'all, I think that's going to wrap this video up. The parts for the Gray Ghost are up there right now. It'll probably be a couple of weeks, maybe even a month before it's all said and done. I told him I'm not in a rush. So when it's all said and done, we'll get that engine back. We'll throw the heads on it and get this thing back in the car. It should be pretty healthy. Like I said, we're running bigger cam, more compression, and probably some limited travel lifters as well. We'll see how the money looks. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.